It's an experience. Imagine cozy corners, friendly faces, and the aroma of delicious dishes that'll make your taste buds dance. From sunrise breakfast to late night bites, Charlie Corm's on 15th Street has it all. Charlie Corm's Place on 15th Street is now offering exclusive weekday lunch specials. Visit Charlie Corm's Place on 15th Street. Look for the giant mural.
Attention homeowners, are you dreaming of a backyard oasis? Look no further than S&R Fencing, your go-to destination for quality outdoor transformations. At S&R, they specialize in crafting custom fences, decks, retainer walls, and all exterior construction that not only enhances the beauty of your home, but also stands the test of time. Their experienced team takes pride in delivering top-notch craftsmanship with a personal touch. S&R Fencing, locally owned, licensed, and insured, and a member of the BBB.
At Brock Lawn and Pest Control, we're proud to be awarded the distinction of being Quality Pro certified.
Our technicians have passed rigorous training in eco-friendly application and prevention of pest treatments.
Part of the program is the practice of integrated pest management.
IPM's goal is to prevent pests from ever entering your home. It includes inspection, prevention, education, and, when necessary, application.
We're proud to be Quality Pro certified.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control, the standard and level of trust.
Ellis Agency Insurance has been serving Panama City and Bay County for years. They offer a full line of affordable insurance coverage of all types. Many people are attracted to Ellis Agency Insurance because of their friendly, knowledgeable staff. Call independent agent Johnny Ellis for a true comparison of your personal or business insurance. Ellis Agency Insurance at the Old Cullen Insurance location, 1134 Harrison Avenue, across from Dandy Donuts and Deli. Call 763-1627.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
Reliable Copy Products is proud to be the exclusive dealer in Northwest Florida for Kyocera office equipment. Reliable Copy Products has been committed to providing professional, personalized service for the last 35 years. They understand that the right equipment does not always fall within today's budget requirements, so they offer several options for the equipment you need today for the growth you expect tomorrow. Call James Smothers at 784-6601, 784-6601. Reliable Copy Products on Harrison Avenue, just north of Bay High School.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Lynn, powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
What's going on, Northwest Florida? Hopefully you guys are having a phenomenal afternoon. I know that it is a little bit rainy out there, but hey, the trees need it, the bushes need it, the animals need it. We all need it, especially those of you out there who love to have those beautiful green lawns. We're supposed to be having a bit of a warm and wet spring this spring, so we'll see how it all plays out. But nonetheless, it is beautiful because God created it. Again, I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick, and we are the Afternoon Underdogs. We're going to have Tyler Bishop in the building with us this afternoon. We'll have Max DeLayden in with us here shortly for Your Minute with Max at 4:20. Then Tho Bishop, which is Tyler Bishop's brother, he will be joining us in the second hour. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that NFL draft for at least a segment, maybe two segments, depends on how that goes. I know we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. NFL rule changes. We've got Sweet 16 upon us. We've got Caveman's betting adventure. I think that's the CBA, Caveman's betting adventure. You guys can call or text us at 850-215-6290. Text and call there. And at 5:15, make sure that you're tuned in. We're talking about the race to Talladega. You can win 2 passes to the Geico 500. That's going to be Sunday, April April 21st. You got to listen to the Coach James Hale Show mornings at 7:15 and at 8:15. They're going to give you a code word for the day. When you hear that code word, you text the code word and your racing name to 850-215-6290. Then you listen at 12:15 with the Inside Drive and 5:15 with the Underdogs. If we announce your name, you race to the phones and call 850-215-6290. The key word there is if we announce your name. It's not just calling in and whoever calls in the fastest. We've got to announce your name because that's the whole point of the code word. We got a call yesterday from someone who wasn't announced, and so their time was not recorded. So if we announce your name, race to the phones, call 850-215-6290. How long it takes you to call back is going to be your qualifying time. The fastest qualifying time each week wins the race to Talladega. Contest is going to be running from March 25th, as of yesterday, up until April 12th. We've got a lot of great promotions going on right now, so make sure you're telling your friends and family that they need to be listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. And if you're not here in Panama City, tell them to grab the app. They can go to the Google Play Store. They can go to the Apple Store, type in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. There's also a contest there. We'll talk more about that later on in the show. Some bad news up there in Baltimore today with the Francis Scott Key Bridge being hit by the Dali, a cargo ship, huge cargo ship, and the whole bridge ended up going down. I know there was a situation like that back in 1980 in Tampa on the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. I don't know if you've ever been across that bridge. I've been across it quite a few times when we lived down there, and that had a little section of bridge that went down, well, a little section, 1,400 feet of section, but thoughts and prayers for the people up there in Baltimore right now. I know that what we've seen is a construction crew of 6 people. They're trying to find the 6 people missing there, which can absolutely be tough when you've got a whole bunch of a bridge in the water and and the tides, all that's going on there. So just continue to keep the people of Baltimore in your prayers. And for Baltimore Orioles fans and Ravens fans, sometimes these type of situations can translate into your sports because the teams put their cities on their backs. So maybe you can get a glimmer of hope there from your baseball teams and your football teams. But as for now, with a whole lot of unknown going on right now, just thoughts and prayers. I mean, I've seen a whole bunch of people on Twitter and Facebook and some people that I know already coming out with the conspiracy theories, and it's just like, man, we race to it. I haven't
seen that yet, but I've seen a lot of the memes already, because you know me. But that's not something I was even looking for. That's how I even found out.
It was memes?
Was through memes. I was like, what's all this going on? And then, you find out, and you're like, wow, okay, that was pretty fast.
Yeah,
but it sucks, man. It's sad to hear. The traffic around there is already horrendous. I don't know if you ever been up around there before, Baltimore, around D.C., Beltway and stuff. So I can't imagine how bad it's going to be now for a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's a great point there, Rick. And no, what's some of the reading that I've done is they got word with 2 minutes before it hit the bridge that they were losing power to the ship, and so they had police officers, firemen get on each side of the bridge and start blocking traffic at that point in time, which is just amazing because that was the first thing that I thought, and that's actually why I started to obviously I wanted to do more research anyways, but the first thing I thought of was, man, how many cars probably went into the water at that point, because once it hit that bridge, it just started teetering and tottering into the water at that point in time. So again, the main focus there is thoughts and prayers for the people of the city of Baltimore. Very tough situation there.
Quick brainstorm, and maybe something positive can kind of come out of this. Around the country, it's always been talked about, especially lately, about, the infrastructure, stuff falling apart, highways, bridges, and whatnot, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe somebody's got some ingenious idea of being able to fix this relatively fast. and in such a way that, is feasible for like long term, like upkeep, maintenance, whatever, what have you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And maybe something good, and positive can come out of this to where we can use it down the road.
I mean, we've seen that here firsthand with Hurricane Michael. Some of a lot of carnage there from Hurricane Michael, but a lot of good has come from the destruction that the storm did bring forth. According to the AP, there's been 35 major bridge collapses from 1960 to 2015. So, and between all of those bridge collapses, only 342. I hate to say the word only there, but you would think with 35 major bridge collapses, it would be more than 342 people.
It's less than 10 per.
Yeah, and with the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, that was 26 people, and 35 people total being losing their lives there. So, again, thoughts and prayers with the city of Baltimore. Into our local news here, the number 5 seed Lady Commodores are going to be on their way to Casper, Wyoming for the 2024 NJCAA Division I Women's Basketball National Championship. Join Gulf Coast Athletics at Beef O'Brady's in Lynn Haven. They're going to be cheering on the ladies during their first game. That is going to be March 28th at 3:15. They'll be taking on the winner of the 12 seed Southern Idaho or the number 21 seed Connors State. If you cannot attend the NJCAA watch party, you can catch the games on ESPN Plus. So, good news there. Good luck to Coach Rory Kuhn. Man, it's been fun keeping up with them this year as always, and hopefully they can cut the nets down at the end of the tournament. In JUCO basketball last night, round 2 of the men's national tournament, Northwest Florida took down Cowley out of Kansas 85-70. High school baseball, Arnold just keeping it rolling. They blank Jay 8-0. Liberty blanks Crossroad 19-0. Holmes and Sneeds play a fun one. It was 11-8. How about Rutherford with their blank 18-0 in a shutout win there over Malone. Franklin shuts out Weewall 15-0. Merritt Island beats Niceville 9-3. In high school softball, Freeport beats Central 23-8. It was Watkins over Niceville 2-1. Cottondale beats Graceville 14-0, or as old school would put it, that would be a shellacking, right? I think that the official number for shellacking is 12 runs, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's somewhere around there. Baker's dozen, 12 dozen, something like that.
We got to get old school on the line with us tomorrow at 4:20. If we can't, we've got to get Alan Watson on the line. Well, we can move Alan to Friday if he's available for that, because we will not be on the air Thursday. Do you know why, Caveman Rick?
No, I don't.
Atlanta Braves season starting. Yeah, so we're going to play opening day. Normally our policy is for Atlanta Braves games, if it's a day game, we don't air the day games unless it's Saturday or Sunday. We air our local programming, our local shows. But with it being opening day, with it being at Citizens Bank Park, with it being against the rivals, the Philadelphia Phillies, first pitch at 2:05 will get you to the coverage right after the inside drive. Braves and Phillies, that makes both of us excited for that game.
Can't wait.
There we go. And also you can go over to PCB Hobby, because they're going to, PCB Hobby is going to be hosting a little bit of a watch party. I'm going to try to coerce Todd to put a radio in there as well. Maybe keep the volume down on the TV and turn the radio up, and that way people can be ahead of the game there.
Nice.
Finishing up the scores here, Childs beats Bluntstown 15-5. Franklin takes down Choctaw 7-1, or no, Franklin beats Lincoln 7-1. Choctaw takes down Walton 6-2, and Liberty beats Mariana 2-1. In baseball games tonight, weather permitting, I mean, looks like the rain has slowed down. I don't know what the future holds for that, but you can listen to our weather report, and Joanna will let you know. But Bay is 7-5. They're going to be hosting the Dolphins of Mosley, who is 6-7. That game starts tonight at 6 p.m. Bluntstown 3-8. 8. They'll be hosting Fort St. Joe, who is 5-4. That game starts tonight at 6 p.m. Graceville 0-4. They're hosting 3-7 Malone. First pitch 6 p.m. You've got Walton hosting Central. Central is 12-0. Walton 4-7. That game starts tonight at 6 p.m. Arnold is on the road with their 10-0 record. South Walton is 6-6. South Walton hosting at 6:30 p.m. tonight. Niceville is 6-5. They're going to be taking on Anthony Wayne at 7 p.m. Franklin County 5-5. They'll be hosting Cottondale, who is 6-2. First pitch for that game at 7 p.m. And then at 6 p.m. 8-1 Mariana traveling to Florida State University High School, who is 5-6-1. That game first pitch scheduled for 6 p.m. In softball, you've got Chipley, who is 1-11 at this point in the season. They're going to be taking on 6-2 Vernon at the house. That game starts tonight at 6 p.m. South Walton travels to Paxton at 6 p.m. Choctaw is going to be hosting Niceville tonight at 6 p.m. North Bay Haven having an incredible season as well, 11-2. They're going to be taking on Jonathan Alder at 6 p.m. Mosley with that 5-5 record traveling to Bluntstown. Bluntstown is 6-3, and that game starts tonight at 6:30 p.m. Cottondale's 5-4. They're hosting 2-5 Malone at 7 p.m. And then the Tiger Sharks of Port St. Joe, they're going to be hosting 4-6 Weewaw at 7 p.m. tonight. Caveman Rick, man, let's talk about your CBA, your caveman betting adventure. That's what we called it. So how'd it go for you in the first and second rounds of betting nothing but the underdogs? Tell the people what it is that you did and how you ended up after the first and second rounds.
First round was a lot more profitable than the second round. First round, I was actually positive money. I think about $8 and change. After the second round goes by, now negative 60 cents. So not too bad, going through the first, I think it was 52 games already with the first play-ins or something. I'm not sure exactly, but however many games it's been, that's how far I've gotten. So lost 60 cents. So it's been a lot of watching, a lot of writing down, a lot of bet placing for to cost me 60 cents.
Yeah, I think it would be 52 games if you add in the first 4 games, because there's 4 games, 2 games on each evening on Tuesday and Wednesday. Then you've got the round of 64, which will be 32 games. Then the round of 32, which is 16 games. So, yeah, that would put you at 52 games at this point in time, as Max and Tyler both ended. Did y'all ride together today? I'm just joking. How y'all doing, man? How's Tuesday going? I've been looking forward to this day since yesterday.
Yeah, since last Tuesday. Come on.
No, since yesterday.
Yeah, Tyler and I were talking, and we were like, how can we throw a wrench at Dave? Just let him host individually.
We wanted to see what kind of ad-lib skills he had,
Yeah, transitions, or just analyzing you.
I love it. Well, it worked out well. I think I need to be playing some dodgeball, because if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball, right?
Hey, you can't do that anymore. It's banned in schools.
No,
yeah,
you're
I
joking.
just saw something. No, I read about it, and it's true. They
Not in Florida, right?
It's banned in high school, middle school.
High school?
Yeah, some guy on TikTok was like, this is why you got to start homeschooling your kids. He's like, I picked my little nephew up, and he didn't know what dodgeball was. He's like, are you kidding me? It's like he's in 8th grade.
Someone tell me that this is a lie. I'm not saying that you're lying, but I know that you're not lying, but
kids get bullied.
He was like, it's such a great way to take out your anger and just headhunt,
Yeah.
And then when the gym teacher would play, it was electric.
Oh, exactly. Because most of us were going down, but if you got the gym teacher, yeah, exactly. But but it made you feel better about yourself getting a grown man out of the game.
Especially if you headshot him, come on, that's hilarious.
Hey, no doubt, man. Oh, missed the game. I mean, how are you going to make something outlaw? How are you going to outlaw something that the NFL uses for their Pro Bowl games?
NFL staple of safety.
Well, they kind of are. Look at what they're doing with the kickoffs. We'll talk more about that today at 4:40. I think that it's interesting. I wouldn't say that I'm wary of it, because I like the concept of it. I think it's going to be something that ends up growing on us.
I'm more worried about the hip drop tackles being taken out.
So from what I heard about that, and who knows how this is going to play out, but with the hip drop tackles, don't expect to see a whole bunch of penalty flags. expect to see fines from that, so that it could kind of correct it a little bit quicker. Then you'll start seeing the penalty flags. What I worry about with people saying that is, okay, so for the 17 games of the regular season, you're going to be fining people. Then all of a sudden, you get into the playoffs and it's boom, boom, boom. Like you're seeing all of these flags out of nowhere.
Or how about your fringe player doesn't make any money? They're going to have to be very careful because they can't afford to lose the money. But now a high-profile guy, he could just say, you know what, the hell with it. I'm going to go after this guy.
One thing Jay said today on the Inside Drive that made a lot of sense is, I mean, how much thinking can you do when you're tackling? How often do we see face masks that are absolutely incidental? There's no, he's not grabbing for that face mask to get him down, but there's this thing called trying to tackle a moving target, and when they're moving, sometimes their head dips a little bit lower than where it was when you intended to tackle them. Sometimes you go around their waist. Like, what? So what are you supposed to do if someone gets beyond you? Are you supposed to just, hey, he's past me now, so I can't reach around his waist? Like, thoughts.
You got world-class athletes, and you're having to make a split-second decision. Like, it's so hard to do. I mean, like you said, 99% of penalties, infractions are done impurposely. Like a horse collar is typically probably not done on purpose, right? It just kind of happens. A face mask, I'm not saying there aren't dirty players who don't push the rules, but 9 times out of 10, it's not any ill will, and it's just it is what it is. You're just reacting in the moment. And
9? I think 9 out of 10.
Higher than that, probably like 99 out of 100. I don't think. I mean, you get the occasional like pass interference, right, where the guy tackles the guy instead of giving up a touchdown. But I think most like face masks and stuff like that. I'd say
it's just them like.
You're reaching for something and you grab something. You don't mean. I mean, I don't think anybody means to because they know they're going to get caught.
Yeah.
And so you're going to get penalized anyway. But I'd say it's at least.
What about the illegal?
Was that hands to the face?
Yeah, hands to the face.
I'd probably say it's right. I mean, a lot of times you kind of seem like they go to hit the guy and like they kind of push it up, and it's. I'd say it's probably more than 9 times out of 10, like 9.5 out of 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate. As my biggest worry is that it's going to be kind of like a judgment call by the ref in the moment. So, like you said, if it's not a ton of penalties, if it's more fines where they can go back and review it, you may see some better. But I mean, the problem is if a ref's 20 yards away, oh no, that was a hip drop tackle. Because if Derrick Henry blows by the ref ain't going to see. Isn't catching up to Derrick Henry. If somebody does. He's trying to make a judgment call from 15, 20 yards away. Are they going to review all these? And it slows the game. Every time they do rule changes, there's always some stuff that comes up that is not for the best.
Was there one rule change that you're just like, absolutely, this is what we needed? Like if you win both of your challenges, you get a third challenge.
I'm actually a decent fan of the kickoff rule.
Okay.
I mean, because they've been working their best to eliminate it. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I can't imagine there's more than 2 kickoff returns a game. Yeah. That's what it feels like, because it just feels like there's so many touchbacks. Because now you can fair catch it inside the 20-yard line. Mm-hmm. They want you to fair catch it.
Didn't they do that for 1 year and then revert back?
Well, the XFL did it for a season.
Do you have to declare an onside now? Then
yes. Yes. Which I hate that.
Yeah, I
love the cheeky onside.
Yeah. Although the cheeky. Okay, here we go, soccer guy.
He did say though that you can stack
the cheeky
one
onside
side.
Works
though.
in college all the time, though.
Yeah.
Sorry. What?
They did say that you can stack one side of the field though. Like before you have to
but you can't do your onside. So where the kicker is kicking from the 35-yard line, just nothing's changing from where the ball is being kicked from. But everyone else moves up to the opponent's 40-yard line. I believe it's either 45 or 40-yard line. And so you do have to declare for an onside kick. And that's most of the times that we see an onside kick, we know that it's coming, but there's some other times like where Max just used a perfect adjective there, cheeky. There's where they're being sneaky about it, and I like that aspect of it. So I think if we're going to implement this, then go ahead and take the Eagle suggestion of like going for a 4th and 20 or something and giving them the opportunity. However, have the caveat that you've got to be down by. You know what I mean? 14, 2 scores at that point in time, I think, to be able to do the 4th and 20 thing.
What do you think is a fair number for that 4th down? Like one play to gain, like what's a fair comparison? Because I mean, the percentages on onside kicks are so low that I'm curious what the 4th down would have to be to kind of be, you know what I'm saying? Like what's the similar...
Like if
4th and 31.
I'm sure there's probably some statistics on it somewhere. I'd be interested to see like what's the comparable conversion percentage for an onside kick to a 4th X yardage.
I think only you and Auburn fans and Alabama fans got what I was talking about there with the 4th and 31. The old grave digger there. Kyle Alberton says, unless you're Albert Hainsworth or Pac-Man Jones, I think he's talking about when we were talking about
right. Ndamukong Suh falls into that category. Like I said, there are dirty players. There are some guys who definitely, got, but I'd say 90%.
Yes, sir. All right, you guys are riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up next, it is your Minute with Max. Find out what Max thinks about Shohei Ohtani and Ippei. We'll be right back.
Get ready.
Let's play the game.
Sports Talk Radio will never be the same.
I just don't think that anybody's going to succeed in that system.
It's a bad organization.
It's just a bad organization.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Onion pickles, onions, pickles.
Live and local.
Look, it's impressive.
On ESPN.
Northwest Florida. It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That is a very high-end card and very rare.
Todd talks about coins, trading cards, collectibles, and the amazing stories behind them.
It was the first one that's ever come through my door.
Plus, we'll be taking your calls and questions at 850-215-6290. The PCB Hobby Takeover.
A platform for you to do your hobby.
Mondays at 5:20 on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Tuesday. The remainder of the day, moderate rain and a likelihood of thunderstorms, and 72 with a moderate breeze out of the south-southeast around 15 miles per hour. Tonight, a likelihood of thunderstorms and light sprinkles with lows around 63. Tomorrow, possibility of thunderstorms and heavy rain and a temperature near 74. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you tired of hearing 2 weeks when you call to get your boat worked on? Hey folks, it's Chris Kramer with Kramer Marine and Outdoor, and we'll get you in and back out on the water as quick as possible. We're a full-line Yamaha outboard dealer and Suzuki outboard dealer, and we have master-trained certified mechanics on site. So if it's just an annual service, electronics install, trolling motor install, or all the way up to a full repower, we can take care of you. So stop by and see us in the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd next to Bill Kramer GM, or call us at 850-851-0453.
Are you hungry for authentic Mexican cuisine? Then come to El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, where we serve up the freshest, most flavorful dishes on the beach. El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, a great location, comfortable atmosphere, and happy hour from 3 to 7. Buy one, get one free, regular margaritas and 12-ounce house drafts. And you're going to love their lunch specials Monday through Friday from 11 to 3. Plus live music Wednesdays and Saturdays starting at 5:30. El Rodeo Tequila Bar and Grill, Thomas Drive across from the Navy base.
The next evolution in sports talk radio. It's the Afternoon Underdogs.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Weekdays from 4 till 6. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Guys are in the doghouse with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned into ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes, along with Tyler Bishop, Max Delyden, and Caveman Rick. You guys can call or text us 850-215-6290. Can you feel the magic? It's the Hall & Hearts ESPN Northwest Florida Magic Express. Ride with us on the ultimate road trip. We're going to be taking a busload of ESPN Northwest Florida listeners to see the Orlando Magic play the Chicago Bulls Sunday, April 7th. You're going to watch the game from a presidential suite. It comes with food, drinks, and a free ride on the Magic Express. To enter, just open the ESPN Northwest Florida app and click Enter Contest. Sponsored by Hall & Hearts, PCB Hobby, and ESPN Northwest Florida. So, Max, all you got to do is just get on the ESPN Northwest Florida app and click Enter Contest. College basketball. We're going to dive into that. I know Tyler's having great success in the ESPN Northwest Florida group.
Am I?
You haven't even checked it?
No, I checked it the other day. I didn't think I was doing like particularly great.
I want to say that you were up there at the top. Maybe it was just for a couple of days.
No, maybe it was.
Maybe it was for the first 2 days.
Comeback?
Yes, sir. I also had Grand Canyon beating St. Mary's too, so that probably helped me out a little bit.
That game against Bama was hilarious.
I was about to say, how about that football game that Grand Canyon and Alabama played? What's been your favorite game of the tournament?
That was just entertaining because it was kind of 90s style basketball. They let the kids play. Big Ten reffing, no blood, no foul.
Hey, there you go, man. We need more Big Ten refs in the game for sure.
Your boys tied for 4th place over here. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
There we go. And you've got a very impressive bracket as well.
Two, though,
it's your bracket number 2, but still, did you put thought into it, or was it just?
I put thought into it.
All right, so but
money on the line.
What's impressive to me is you're in the top. What, 200,000?
Yeah, like 166, I think.
And you got the champion of Houston.
Yeah,
do you think that
my whole Elite Eight's still alive, and I got I think I went like 14 for 16 on the Sweet 16.
Whoa, yes, sir.
There's a chance.
There we go. Ramen noodles in the microwave. So Kyle Albritton, can Max allow himself to root for the Boilers? Ooh.
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a good question.
That's like the Michigan.
Where's Becky when you need him? Hey, that's Max's dad.
You'd be like, gosh. That's why we need separate social media accounts. That's a good question. I mean, I guess I don't really love rooting for them, but I want the Big Ten to have some success. I think, them not winning since 2000 with Michigan State's pretty alarming. Mm-hmm. And then Michigan winning in college football this year, as much as I despise Michigan, and they're similar to if Bama won it all for people down here, but it was good to see the Big Ten could still win things.
See, it's so funny to me. People get so mad at, look at all those SEC fans, SEC. Y'all do the same thing, man.
It's on social media. It's a lot worse on the SEC.
Well, yeah, because we're winning.
Well, plus the Big Ten West is just a joke. So I don't blame you. Now that the conferences are merged and we added all those teams, it's even in the tides a little bit.
Yeah.
What gets me is Vanderbilt would win the Big Ten. It's when people say stuff like that. That's what it's like, dude. Come on, at least be a little bit rational about it.
But there's definitely some curve to it where it's if Iowa football is in the SEC, they go 7-5 maybe.
That's what. Well, yeah, I guess they go 8
because they're non-cons, and you guys get to play that Make-A-Wish. Last month of the season, play Samford.
The Big Ten does play non-conference games, so we give you that.
That's the thing.
Give you that. But let's talk about Michigan's non-conference schedule last year.
It worked out,
but it's okay.
But they didn't have one middle of the season.
Well, it's okay if you play 4 conference or 4 Patsy games at the front, but you play one towards the end of the season. That's just unacceptable. That's not allowed. I don't understand the logic there.
Well, it's only 3 non-conference games though.
That people in the butt. What can I say?
There you go. I like that though. And man,
that is a great question.
Zach Edey is fun to watch, though. I mean, I wish that we would have gotten Indiana State.
It's kind of fun to watch.
I mean, he's not. Who knows how it's going to work out for him in the NBA? But I just you talk about
Boban.
Well, you talk about watching 90s basketball, and Edey kind of is like the epitome of 90s basketball. What's he got? One career 3-pointer.
Yeah, against Indiana.
Hey, there you go. But it would have been nice to have Indiana State because then we could be watching Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Milk Chamberlain.
Yeah.
There's been so many good nicknames for Robbie Avila. Man, I hate that. And I don't know if it was Virginia's spot that Indiana State took,
Indiana.
Virginia.
Indiana State spot that Virginia took.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, sir. That's why we have smart people in the building.
No, Dave, you're smarter than me.
Kyle, come on now. I ain't crunching numbers like you are, my friend.
So I don't have the verbiage you have. You got the.
Hey, it's the full package, right? We all come together to make the.
Dave's so humble. Everyone when they talk, when they listen to the show, they're like, that guy has the best radio voice. And he's just so humble. I was like, I'm not going to get to my head. I've heard so many people say it, so.
Hey, the Lord is good, man. Kyle Albritton. I love this comment from Kyle Albritton. Hey, my favorite part about doing this job is all of the people that I get to meet and stuff. Yeah. And the people who just, you're
like any coach's, favorite interview because you're it's all about everyone else, not about me. And it's dude, you're the aircraft carrier, man.
Kyle Albritton says Pete Rose just needed an interpreter. How do we?
He's not wrong.
So what do you make of all this Ohtani situation? Now, me and Max made a friendly bet this year on who was it? Who's your guy? Oh yeah, you got Julio Rodriguez. I got Shohei Ohtani.
Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah, non-gambler. And so we did the 5 categories. What we do: hits, average, runs, home runs, and RBIs. Yeah. So that way we couldn't time. We just put $1 on
stolen bases, but I gave you home runs. Some people are more generous than others. You're the evil Mr. Beast. All you do is take.
Well, look, and then as soon as we get done with the bet, like a day after, I think actually rumors started circulating the same day that we made the bet.
We didn't know about that when we made it. We were like, dude, what are the odds?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, though. So what do you make of all of this? For me, I'm still not necessarily keeping my mouth shut on it, but I guess that I'm siding. I'm not taking a side, but if anything, it's like. Until something comes that's like some evidence against Ohtani, I got to ride with Ohtani, and I'm not like the hugest fan of his bandwagon, you know?
Yeah, he more than likely knew. He has a really good friend in that guy, and there's a few good points I've seen, like, a book doesn't just accept a $4.5 million bet or whatever you get in a deficit without knowing you have some backing. But to the devil's advocate of the small minority that think Ohtani didn't know, which I would say with what the information we've been presented, I'd say there's probably a 75-80% chance he knew, which I think some people are jumping like a little too close to conclusions. But a good way to think about it too is most of his money, from what I would think is rational, is in a Japanese bank account and not in his American bank account.
Yeah.
And if you and I were playing baseball in Japan and we had our best friend with us, and he knew Japanese, and I was getting paid into a Japanese bank account, I would probably let my friend have access to that account and let him handle it. Be like, hey, just check this because like I can't read Japanese.
Yeah.
So
that's a great point because Shannon Sharp was kind of talking about that a little bit today this morning on ESPN to some extent.
Or I thought I was original on that, but I guess not.
Well, he wasn't saying it the way that you're saying it though.
That's the one thing where I'm like, okay, that might be a saving grace. And if they do their research, which I'm sure that people can say the MLB's not going to, but the FBI and other people are going to look into this. It's not like a small.
It's not going away.
Yeah. And like, if that's the case and Ippei, or however you say it, gets like 30 years or is locked away indefinitely, then it's probably the truth. I mean, at least to an extent, or he's the best friend of all time.
Yeah.
Because I love my friends, but I don't know if I would go 30 years in prison for their gambling addiction. So
yeah, I mean,
that's an all-time, basically a life sacrifice.
Why would he go to jail for it? For stealing the money?
Yeah, for stealing the money.
That's the case against it because there was like millions wired out, which people are like, you would notice millions, but at the same time, like, he knew he was going to get paid so much money. Money's not a concept. Like, he gets paid more in ads than he does on his salary. He's not worried about his money.
I've seen that his net worth is like $20 million. I'm like,
no, it's not.
Probably in America.
Yeah, especially after Ippei lost.
He's probably got $20 million over here, then $20 million over there. And the big, for me, keep going.
The other thing, too, is like people, like, there's these conspiracies, or it's like the TikToks where it's like, or whatever, the people on Twitter who think they're like inside info. They're like, on this game, there was $1 million bet placed and Ohtani allowed 6 earned runs. Okay. Counterpoint, he let up all the runs in the 7th inning because he went too long. He was shutting them out. It's not like he was throwing the game. Like, even though Shohei Ohtani, he could still go 0 for 2, have a shutout going, and then give up runs in the 7th inning. That's just being fatigued.
Subpoint to your counterpoint. There's no information on all of this because this was an illegal gambling ring. Yeah, so you're not going to find information on this. Like, I see all of that on like Facebook. There's this one guy who just nonstop, incessantly talks about Ohtani, and I'm just like,
I know who you're talking about too. It's a big time like source. Trust me, bro.
Trust me.
I can't tell you who told me, but trust me, it's legit.
Oh my goodness.
Like, I guess we'll find out at the end,
or will we?
I think we will. I mean, people need, like, it's such a big thing that we're not going to get an immediate answer, and we're not going to get the instant gratification. I don't think it looks good for him, and I think the signs point against him. But
against Ohtani,
yeah,
okay.
But I mean, we'll find out because they're going to do an investigation. You don't just like, even if you're Shohei Ohtani, you're not invincible for something like that.
No doubt.
That's like a big time crime.
Now let's say that, all right, so if this was in any other state, first and foremost, this isn't as big of a deal unless he's betting on the sport of baseball.
Right.
If he's betting on the sport of baseball, I say sport. If he's betting on Major League Baseball, I don't care if it's games he's in. I don't care if you're betting on the sport of baseball. You're done. You're done. Yeah. Like it's not 5-year ban.
Pete
No,
Rose should still be in the Hall of Fame though. So many hits. So he's still
I'm with that to a large extent, but it's still the same situation where it's a totally different situation because Pete Rose was betting on himself, but still he's been banned from the game of baseball, banned from the Hall of Fame. As much as we would all like to see him put in the Hall of Fame, I don't think you can sit here and say, all right, well, here's what we're going to do because Shohei Ohtani is essentially the face of baseball. We're going to put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, and then the byproduct of that is sweep this under the rug. You know what I mean? Like that to me, if he bet on baseball, then it's you're out of the league at that point, and you can go play back in the MPB or the KBO, whatever you need to do to continue playing baseball. If they'll accept you, if they'll have you over there, that's fine with me. But if you're betting on other sports, then you're at the discretion of what the FBI.
There's a lot of gambling stuff going on right now too. Jonte Porter, another basketball, and I don't know if you saw that. It's like
I have not looked. I just saw the headline of that.
He
yesterday.
was fading himself, allegedly, they were people like fading his stat lines. Like he had a couple games where he went out with an illness 9 minutes in and things like that. And the DraftKings and those type of prop bet sites were saying like those were some of his biggest. Not him specifically, but like huge winners on the nights.
Yeah, putting like 20 grand down on going on the under on his stats.
Yeah, my favorite is the guy from like MGM, I think, David Purdom. He said, this is a direct quote, and I just think it's hilarious because of like it's not hilarious, but it's hilarious in the sense of the caliber of the player Jonte Porter is. He should not be garnering more attention than, like a $5 player prop bet.
Right.
And his direct quote was, people were trying to do whatever they could to bet Jonte Porter props $10,000 to $50,000. And it's like, who the heck is betting $10,000 to $50,000 on Jonte Porter?
I'm just bit Mike. I had no idea who Jonte Porter was.
Michael Porter Jr.'s brother, baby.
Oh, really?
Michael Porter Jr.'s little brother.
All right. Well, did not know that. Reading the headline yesterday, I was like, I'm going to have to look into this. This is the slippery slope of what gambling is, though, especially in sports. We like where I'm so surprised that sports gambling has become legal in, I don't know how many states it is, but as many states as it is, and for however long it's going to be legal here. But we see the addiction that it can cause, right? We see the addiction that it can cause, and then you see all of the games could be rigged and all of that stuff. Like, it's just so surprising. And then you expect athletes to not participate in it when watch ESPN and not see
ESPN sponsored by ESPN Bet and FanDuel.
Yeah, like how you can't even get away from it, and now you're just gonna. Hey, it's like. Well, there are bartenders, I think, who don't drink and stuff like that. But essentially, it's like, putting an alcoholic behind a bar and saying, don't drink any of this.
Water, man.
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's Monday Night Football presented by Bud Light, but then they'll tell the quarterback, hey, you can't go be a spokesperson for a different type of alcohol. It's like, how does that, like, the league can make money off of it, but an individual player can't. How does that make sense?
That's a great point.
Oh, my goodness, man. Well, I guess we'll dive into some Major League Baseball awards. I'd like to hear some. Okay, Johnny Yankee Seed says, if he did do this and Manfred covered it up, what are the ramifications of that? Well, he can give his extension back to Major League Baseball. Yeah. I mean, I do think that that's a high probability. If there is some validity to Shohei Ohtani, and there is not just smoke but fire around this entire situation, I could very well see MLB trying to cover this up, because this has been the biggest star in baseball since, you can make the argument, an international star, no doubt about that, but you can make the argument he might be the best thing for baseball since the home run race.
Yeah. I would say yeah.
Yeah.
When's the last time we've seen a guy who can do both at an elite level.
I mean, I think in the 30s, I was watching Babe Ruth, and he was pretty good, but it just wasn't to the magnitude of Shohei Ohtani.
Okay.
You guys are riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. We're going to get in some MLB awards when we get back and World Series predictions. Text yours in along with us, and we will read them out. We'll be right back.
Set your alarm clock to wake up with the Coach Hales Show on ESPN Northwest Florida. In-depth local and college sports from expert insiders and a dash of controversy.
Can be deadly.
Weekday mornings 7 to 9.
Nothing says good morning like a drunken human alarm clock.
You're live from the J. Michaels studio.
We all know he loves the Florida Gators, but that's okay.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
I can control the world.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Tuesday. The remainder of the day, moderate rain and a likelihood of thunderstorms, and 72 with a moderate breeze out of the south-southeast around 15 miles per hour. Tonight, a likelihood of thunderstorms and light sprinkles with lows around 63. Tomorrow, possibility of thunderstorms and heavy rain and a temperature near 74. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Bestway Portable Buildings has been your portable building specialist since 1989. Before you invest your hard-earned money someplace else, owner Jason Mulder invites you to stop by Bestway and get a quote on just about any size building. And whether you buy with Bestway or not, it's worth the trip just to meet Bestway Buddy. Say hello, buddy. Good boy. Bestway Portable Buildings, just north of Harts Marine on 231, and online at bestwayportablebuildings.com. The best in portable, period. Tell them Buddy sent ya.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
He's so old, he buys his clothes at the same store he buys his groceries.
Are you wearing a grocery bag?
I talk sports in my underwear. I'm gonna wear nothing but a thong and a top hat.
Caveman Rick is part of the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. Your Atlanta Braves right here in the Gulf Coast on ESPN Northwest Florida. Warmer nights, plenty of iced tea, and the Atlanta Braves opening day is this Thursday. Coverage starts at 1 o'clock. First pitch 2:05. ESPN Northwest Florida is still your official radio station for the Atlanta Braves on the Panhandle. You want to talk about smart people. Tyler said on his way from work he wanted to look up what the amount of what the average amount of kickoff returns per game was in the NFL. And we just looked that up here in the break, and he said somewhere between 1 or 2, I think is the number that you said. So the XFL had 341 kickoff returns in 2023 with their kickoff rules, while the NFL had 587. The XFL played just 40 regular season games. The NFL had 272. The XFL averaged 8.5 kickoff returns. The NFL averaged 2.2. So Tyler was spot on there with that. MLB awards, where do you want to start with this, Max?
What do you want to do, MVP first?
Yeah, we can do MVP.
I'm going to go no favorites.
No favorites?
No picking favorites.
All right. And
actually, you can pick one for the NL MVP, and that's the only favorite I'll allow you. Actually, you get one favorite this whole draft. How about that?
This whole draft?
I have one I know I would take.
I don't have any of the odds in front of me, so I'm just going to be shooting from the hip.
I'll just keep it up in case you got to get on.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, so we'll go to the awards. We'll just start with MVP, and then you tell me which ones I'm missing as we get going. Okay. So we'll start. How about we start with American League? Because you know who I'm going to be picking for the National League. Absolutely. Tom. No, I was like, I don't think with him just batting this year he'll be. Well, let's start with the American League. Who do you have pegged to be the MVP of the American League this year?
That's a tough one. Can I take one higher favorite and one?
You're the one who implemented
No, I said no, higher, not number one, but higher on the list, and then one.
Max is asking if you could break the rules that he set for himself.
I said,
nobody else set for him.
Okay.
You just do what you want to do.
Fine.
Go with your heart.
Well, he's number 3 on odds.
All right.
I'll go with J-Rod.
Okay.
Julio Rodriguez, with my dark horse being Bobby Witt.
Ooh.
Plus 1,300, some value there. 35 dingers, 40 swipes.
Caveman Rick, you want to get in on this?
Let's say Corey Seager.
Okay, Corey
Stud.
Seager. All right. You want to throw out some names?
Nah, I'm good.
All right, let's go here. Oh, man. I think Julio is a good name there. You know, I'm going to go way out of left field here.
Okay.
Juan Soto.
That's the same odds as Julio.
Oh, really?
He's like
Not out of
number 2,
left
I
field.
think.
Okay, all right then.
That is right in center field, Dave.
Yes.
That's how good of a guess it was. I mean, it was right there with the...
Well, but the reason why I said left field is because he plays left field. But honestly, when the Yankees first made the signing, it's like, some of the times, I don't want to say a lot of the times, when they make these big name signings, when they first get going, they kind of struggle a little bit out of the gate. But that's normal for Juan Soto anyways. He struggles out of the gate and then gets to the home run derby, and then all of a sudden he becomes a new man.
And he's just on a trade, too. He's not even on a big signing. So
yeah,
there you go.
So he's still got to earn that money.
Contract year.
That's a great point.
Contract year MVP.
All right, well, let's go to the National League then. I'll start this one off to help you with the rules and take a favorite. I got to go Ronald Acuna Jr., man. If I were to go anyone else, it's got to be Mookie. So, go. I'm going Acuna.
His fielding might hurt him in the start, playing in the infield.
Yeah, that's a good point, too.
I'm going to take FTJ, Fernando Tatis Jr.
Oh, that's a good pick.
Stud, plus 1,000, good value there. Steals, he hits. He was elite in every baseball savant category for outfield in his first year playing outfield. He's a dog. He's embraced it.
Interesting because Tatis went from shortstop to outfield. Mookie coming from right field to second base, now to shortstop.
Benjamin Button went from elite to terrible, and Tatis went from very meh to elite.
Yeah, that's a great point.
From error goud.
Caveman Rick, who's your National League MVP?
Right here, man. Harper, yo.
Bryce Harper.
Go, my boy.
Hey, I'll be happy with that. I've got him in the fantasy baseball league that we're doing here with the radio station. All right, what's next? Cy Young?
Yep, NL or AL first.
Let's go AL again.
AL is a gauntlet. There's 2 obvious favorites, but I'm going to go with Tariq Skubal. I'm going to buy the hype, with my other value being George Kirby. Might not even be the second best or best pitcher on his team in some metrics, but I mean, Luis Castillo, George Kirby, and Logan Gilbert, that's a good 1, 2, 3.
So you're buying into the Mariners this year then?
Just those arms, not the bats.
Oh, okay.
I still don't think the Mariners made the right moves that they had to do. It kind of wasted them.
Yeah. That stinks for them, man, especially in the West, which is not necessarily opening up for them because obviously Houston's still over there.
Yep.
What about for you, America? The defending World Series champions. Caveman Rick, what do you got there for American League? I might have to look up some odds for AL Cy Young. Not going to lie to you.
I probably got to do the
just
same.
pulled it up right here. Okay, well, while you're doing that, I'm pulling up the odds right now. Let's see here, 2024. Oh, Pablo Lopez up there? Kevin Gausman, this just looks forward. You know what I'm going to do? Putting on for the city of Baltimore. I'm going with Corbin Burns, man. He's going to be a little bit tougher. Yeah. Well, this has got Kevin Gausman at plus 650 according to DraftKings. BetMGM's got they've got
right now.
Okay, well maybe this might be a old. This is from this is from March 25th. All right, so I don't know, man. Either way,
it's changed.
There's some movement on the line.
You're sharp, Dave. You steamed Corbin Burns up to 1
without even touching anything. All right, I'm gonna go with Corbin Burns. What about you, Caveman?
Let me go. For some reason, give me Luis Castillo.
I like that pick.
He's a little bit further down, but why not?
All right, we'll go to the National League here. What are you thinking there, Max?
Man, I love Strider, and that's the favorite for sure odds on. So, breaking my rule, I'll take him. But value play, Zach Gallen.
Oh, Zach Gallen. Caveman?
Oh, man, I'm going with my boys again. How about Wheeler?
All right, Wheeler for you. I'm not going to go with Spencer Strider, or I'm not going with Logan Webb either.
No. Todd from Breaking Bad.
Do you think Glasnow stays healthy this year? I know I'm not going to go with Yamamoto. I'm not going with Justin Steele either. Could Snell repeat this year? You know what? I'll go with the Brave too. And I don't. I'm going with Max Fried. Max Fried trying to get himself a big contract next year, so I'm gonna go with Max Fried, and we'll see how it plays out. Will it be Strider, Wheeler, or Fried? What's the next award you want to go to? Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year.
All right, Rookie of the Year. We'll start with the American League as well.
Oh man, with Holiday not starting up in the bigs, that's tougher.
Yeah,
it's stupid. I'm going to take him anyway. He's going to come on the scene hot 3 weeks in.
You're going with Jackson Holiday?
Yeah, he's a stud.
All right. What about that other kid for the Rangers that everyone's been talking about, Wyatt Langford?
Yeah, he's number one on odds.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, both Rangers, I think. Isn't Evan Carter on the Rangers?
Yeah,
too?
Evan Carter is too. I think I would ride with the guy who was there in the big leagues last year. You think Camanero's got a shot?
Yeah, because he swipes too.
Yeah. All right. You know what? It's going to be a Baltimore, or I'm going with Colton Cowser.
I like that. He's going to. As long as he doesn't get
injured,
jumped by Jackson Holiday or Kobe Mayo, because they're so deep.
But, I'm going to go Mayo. Baltimore, Baltimore strong this year, right?
Yeah, there you go, man.
See what's up.
We'll go with the National League here. How about for you, Max?
Paul Skeens, no, I'm just kidding. Just dating Livy Dunn. No, I'm going to go with Jackson Churio.
Oh, Churio.
Dude gets hits.
Milwaukee, right?
We all know who the odds-on favorite is.
Oh, Yamamoto?
Yeah.
What? I wish that
nice
they would
job
give
in Korea, buddy.
I wish that they would give you odds for them not winning. You know what I mean? It's like
that'd be such bad value.
That is true because only one out of a million players. Oh man. I don't really I'm only seeing 5 guys here on the top odds on this particular. For this website I'm looking at, it's got Yamamoto at plus 260. Then you got Hu Lee out of the Giants pickup. They got him at plus 400. So I'm going to go with this shortstop from the Cardinals, Mason Wynn. Yeah, I know you don't like it because the Cardinals.
The guy can't hit.
Well, I'm just taking a shot in the dark here anyway. So, okay, man, Ray?
Because he's already kind of known and, he's got a look that people recognize. I'll go Skeens.
Okay. There we go. What's your next category you want to go to?
Do we want to do Manager of the Year? I don't know. It's not that fun of an award. Then there's Reliever of the Year, which is go to the World Series.
Yeah, let's go to the World Series prediction. World Series prediction here. Who you got? We'll start with you. Wait, before we do that, let's see if we got any. Okay, let's go read these comments for a second here. Let's see. From Johnny Yankee Seed, he's got NL MVP Corbin Carroll. Kyle Albritton's Rookie of the Year is Wyatt Langford. We've got Joe Ryan. I'm assuming that's going to be AL Cy Young there for Johnny Yankee Seed. He's got Dylan Cease.
That's not bad value.
For NL Cy Young?
Bounce back.
Yeah.
It's open. I don't hate that he gets strikeouts. That's not a terrible pick. The big knock on him is his whip, if his control's there. Because if his fastball's not moving, he gets shellacked. But I kind of like that value.
Is Petco a better pitcher's park than what guaranteed rate is?
Yeah, the rate is like, I don't know, I'd say it's like the 10th best hitter's park. Petco is a great pitcher's park, so.
He's got Wyatt Langford to win AL Rookie of the Year. Didn't see his NL Rookie of the Year there. All right, so World Series predictions. Everybody chime in, 850-215-6290, or you can text them over here to us, or hop on Facebook is what I meant to say. Hop on Facebook, comment them, or text them at 850-215-6290. Max Delighten, who's going to be playing in the 2024 World Series?
You want the winner, too?
Yeah, you can do that.
All right.
Tell me who you got the Cubs beating in the World Series.
Man, I wish. From your mouth to God's ears. I think for me, the AL is a lot more unpredictable than the NL this year. I think I've seen the tea leaves, looked into reality. I know what the NL is going to happen, but I'm going to go with the Astros. I think they're going to make a big move at the deadline, too. They can advance themselves a little bit. People are going to be really gung-ho and high on the Rangers. They still need Scherzer and DeGrom to come back. The Yankees are already bewildered with injuries. Couldn't feel worse for them. And then the Orioles, I think, are like one step away. I could see them being like an ALCS loss to Houston.
Okay.
Just like kind of like some 2015 Cubs vibes the year before. And then in the NL, chop on, baby. I got the Braves. I'm sorry, Rick. I'm sorry.
He don't care. The Phillies have beaten the Braves the last 2 years.
We can make it in and be the last team in the playoffs and still, make it to the World Series. So
fair point. And I'm gonna take the Braves to win the World Series. If Philly can get home field advantage, though, I still think out of those three teams we discussed, the Braves, Phillies, and Dodgers, the Dodgers would be the least intimidating in a best of 5.
We travel well anyway.
Yeah.
Caveman Rick, who are the Phillies going to be playing in the World Series this year?
Surprised. AL, I got the O's, like I was talking about, stuff going on in Baltimore. They got some inspiration now, so maybe that'll, get something going in the town, and maybe that'll be like their battle cry all season long. And then I don't want to jinx my team and all the, stuff going on over out west. We'll do coast to coast. I'll pick the Dodgers.
Jinx them.
Yeah. I figure if I pick the Phillies, they'll probably won't even make the dang playoffs.
Who wins the World Series? O's?
Between those two teams, that's who I'd want to see. Yeah, definitely.
Man, I think the uniform matchup there
orange and black I love, but I don't like the blue.
Yeah, but I'm saying the uniform matchup, orange and black versus the blue there. Maybe I just stay away from picking the Braves, but they just got, I feel like the rotation's going to be better this year. I feel like left field, the platoon with Kelenic and Adam Duvall, getting him back. It's barring injuries, if they don't make it this year, it's the same as last year. I mean, all of the records that they broke along the way, and just to get bounced essentially in their first round of playing, that would be absolutely sad. So,
absolutely.
But I'm going to go with the Braves. Now, who do they end up playing? I just don't believe in the Yankees. I believe that they can put up a ton of runs, but I feel like they're going to be giving up a lot of runs. I think that they'll finish second in the AL East. I think Baltimore ends up winning the American League East. I got 1 minute, but I'm trying to think over here, Caveman Rick, so give me a little bit of time, all right?
And Atlanta's going to have Hurston Waldrep up.
Oh, yeah, that is. I am getting excited about that. Yeah, that'll definitely help the rotation, or maybe that sixth starter, if you will. All right, so Atlanta taking on, it's just hard to go against anyone but Houston at the beginning of the season, right? So I'll do the same as Max, Atlanta, Houston, and we'll take the Braves winning in 6 games. You guys are riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. Braves in 7 for Max. All right. Great segment there. Max, thanks so much for stopping by. We will see you next Tuesday for your next Minute with Max. Though Bishop, Tyler Bishop, talking NFL draft with us next. If you guys got any thoughts or comments, call in 850-215-6290. We're back after this.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
I was here and you were being a grandfather. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm glad he pointed that out.
Thank you. Oh, we did have it all last week. I wasn't here.
That's right. You were not here.
Thanks, Coach Jones.
I woke up early. Apparently you weren't listening. So.
I love it. That's awesome.
Weekday morning 7 to 9. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Tuesday. The remainder of the day, moderate rain and a likelihood of thunderstorms, and 72 with a moderate breeze out of the south-southeast around 15 miles per hour. Tonight, a likelihood of thunderstorms and light sprinkles with lows around 63. Tomorrow, possibility of thunderstorms and heavy rain and a temperature near 74. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
Paid for by Steel Man Pills. 800-261-7365. 800-261-7365. 800-261-7365. That's 800-261-7365.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Hammond, powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Often imitated, never duplicated. The official sports station of the Panhandle. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back for hour number 2. Here in about 15 minutes, we are going to announce a name. When we announce that name, race to your phones and call 850-215-6290. Only for the person whose name we announce. If we do not announce your name, you're just clogging up the phone lines and making it harder for the qualifier to qualify. 850-215-6290. We'll announce that name as soon as you hear the sounder at 5:15. I'm David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop, Tho Bishop, and Caveman Rick. Tho, how's it going, my friend?
Hey, doing great.
Yes, sir. It's a beautiful day out there, even though it's rain. Hey, we can't always have the sunshine, right?
It makes you appreciate it all the more when it does come.
No doubt, my man. No doubt. So, again, coming up, when is the draft? April 26th?
Yes.
April 26th. What are you going to be doing for the draft?
We're going to be over at St. Andy's doing some live draft commentary, trying to do my best Mel Kiper impersonation.
There you go.
Over there in St. Andrews.
Now, they got a grand opening coming up soon, don't they? Isn't that April 13th?
I think so. Some new food options, all that sort of stuff.
There you go, man. There you go. So, y'all get down there and check out Tho. Tyler, I think I'll be there as well, man. That's going to be where the first round of the draft is happening, and there's going to be, an opportunity for people to put in some mock drafts and possibly win a little gift card to help out with your tab there.
A few prizes.
Yeah, awesome, man. It's going to be a great time. Just hanging out with the gang is always fun as well. So if y'all want to, let's pack the place out. All right, you wanted to talk about strengths and weaknesses of the draft, and I'm always down to talk about whatever it is that we want to talk about as long as it stays on the lines of sports, and that's what we're going to be doing today. So strengths and weaknesses of the draft. Let's start with the weakness. What do you think is the weakest link in this chain of the NFL draft?
Well, it's interesting. I think the biggest issues are, if you're looking for running back, not a great draft for it.
Ooh.
If you're looking for inside linebackers, not a great draft for it. And it's kind of interesting because, I think some of this is where you see talented athletes earlier on in their career, they're kind of recognizing, hey, those running backs contracts aren't where they used to be.
Yeah.
I'm going to go play wide receiver. I'm going to go play defensive end. I'm going to try my hand at maybe safety. And so if you look at right now, it wouldn't surprise me at all if you don't have a running back pick in the top 50. I think the last time was the Bishop Sankey year. A while back, 2014
yeah, like 2013. Yeah, he went like 54 overall. I think so. Yeah.
I mean, this could be that where the top running back might be the Texas running back, Jonathan Brooks, who is coming off an injury.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very interesting year for running backs.
Golly. So do you think that is the reasoning behind, and we'll ask you, we'll start with you, Tyler, and then we'll let Tho answer this. Do you think that's why they were so popular this year in free agency compared to what they were last year?
I mean, I think that definitely plays a role, knowing that you may not have that instant impact, that Bijan Robinson, that Jahmyr Gibbs type of guy waiting in the draft for you. You've kind of seen it trickling down even to the recruiting side, high school recruiting, where you don't see, 8, 10, 5-star running backs like you used to, because those athletes aren't playing that position anymore. And, we've seen it to the NFL an extent where they're not going as high in the draft. And it's just kids pay attention to the money stuff, right? Like, kids play football and ideally to go to the NFL and make money. And like if the running backs aren't being paid, you're not going to see that the elite athletes going there. And I mean, last year was kind of an anomaly from what we've seen with Gibbs and Bijan both going top 12.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's going to be interesting going forward. Are we going to see more 2 top 12s or none going in the top 50? Like the last 2 years are almost stark contrast against each other. Which one's more normal going forward? Be interesting to see.
What's your thoughts on that, though?
No, I think it definitely played a role in free agency this year. You've also kind of had a weird backlog in contracts, right? A lot of franchise tags and the like. And so, I mean, you did see some decent market this year, and I think part of it is because, again, if you're looking for, particularly that third down back, I mean, there's plenty of complementary pieces. One of our local guys, Trey Benson, FSU, he's a guy that has a very interesting skill set. He might end up, he's someone who's in competition for being that first running back taken. There's not a lot of players that, you're going to trust in kind of first 2 down situations and have some of those receiving skills, that all-around package. They're just harder and harder to find. And it would be interesting going forward is that when you find one of those guys, do we see a little bit more interest in them as candidates as we have more specialization kind of within that field?
Yeah, and I mean, we're the further we get along in this game of football, the more difficult it is to find that guy who's on the field for downs 1, 2, and 3. I mean, even with Derrick Henry last year, now I attribute it to, and I have no idea, wasn't in the locker room with these guys, wasn't in any of the meetings, but I felt like the Titans were just trying to see what they had in Will Levis. So they kind of scrapped the game plan pretty early on in the season as far as, hey, I still think that they wanted to win games. Don't get me wrong in that situation. They wanted to win games, but they really wanted to do their due diligence in seeing what they had in Will Levis, because it didn't take them long with Malik Willis to find out. It was like, hey, we're one half of the Kansas City Chiefs game last year was enough to be like, yeah, this is not the future quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, which I hated it for the guy, but
I've never seen a coach more quickly be turned off by a player quite like Mike Vrabel was with Malik Willis.
That is a great point, man.
I will say, I wonder if that kind of led to Vrabel not being in Tennessee anymore. Maybe he was more focused on winning this year or last year, and the front office was kind of more like, let's see what we got in Levis. Kind of going to your point, like, did they change the game plan? Was that kind of not really his decision? More kind of came up from above him? Because, as a coach, you're coaching to win now because your job's not guaranteed tomorrow.
Yeah.
And maybe coaching to win now didn't guarantee him his job today either. But I would be interested if that played a role in it, though.
I think that had to have played a role, right? And I think the other thing that played a role was the not clear-cut who is running the front office here. What is the relationship like between Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel at that point? And I think the owner and Amy Adams Strunk wanted to just nip it in the bud, if you will, and just kind of move in a different direction. And we'll see how it plays out. Apparently, DeAndre Hopkins is pretty excited about the offense that they're going to be running with Brian Callahan now. And Calvin Ridley is supposed to, I can't even say this with a straight face, is supposed to be the Jamar Chase of the Tennessee Titans offense. Look, I love Calvin Ridley, right? I'm a Bama guy, like, of course, but we're talking about 2 different wide receivers, strong, physical, like everything that you want in a wide receiver in Jamar Chase and Calvin Ridley. He's got some speed and some good hands, What you got, Rick? Hold on, turn your mic on.
My bad. Johnny Yankees, he's got a question for us.
All right, go ahead.
Chris Sims just put both LSU wide receivers as his 1 and 2 wide receivers in the draft ahead of Odunze and Marvin Harrison Jr. Do you guys agree with that?
I think this is Chris Sims' peak season, right? He likes coming up with those hot takes. I do think the idea that like Neighbors could be, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he ends up being the first pick in the draft. I think Brian Thomas, he's a little aggressive on that. And, and in particular, I don't like having it as a separate tier with both William Harrison and Odunze. I think it's a very unique draft. I mean, if we talk about strengths, wide receivers, it's just incredible.
Right.
If you're a team that needs a receiver, and it seems it's incredible, there's more wide receivers coming out. You start looking at some depth charts. It's like, how in the world is this guy number 3 wide receiver on this team?
Yeah.
If you need a wide receiver, this is the year to stack up, because I think you have 3 prospects in Odunze, Harrison, and Neighbors that would otherwise be surefire top 1 wide receivers. You just have to have 3 in the same class, which would be interesting. Also, because the other side of it is that does that lead to a team that really needs a wide receiver, is picking the top half of the draft, do they decide, okay, well, we could wait. We can get a Lad McConkey at the top of the second round. We can get a Ricky Parasol and maybe in the middle of the second. Let's go get that tackle right now. So it's kind of this interesting dynamic where just how many good receiving prospects could actually end up driving down the value in the confines of this draft. But Brian Thomas, I think, very interesting player. I mean, just the size, speed situation there. There's going to be teams that are going to love him. I'd be shocked if he is not the fourth or later in terms of the pecking order from the NFL.
Where's your thoughts lie on this, Tyler?
No, I mean, I agree 100%. I mean, we've seen stuff for like since the end of the season that don't be surprised if Neighbor is higher on some teams than Marvin Harrison Jr. I saw a guy earlier today. He's been doing a lot of research on wide receivers coming in the draft for the last few years, and a lot about based on the routes they ran, the success they had running specific routes, and then their translation to the NFL as a rookie and their second year guy. And he's got Marvin Harrison, he's got Malik Neighbors, and he's got Dunze all in the same tier. It's kind of just, are you looking for a little more size, a little more speed? And so I trust those guys who are a little bit smarter than me and put a little bit more time and effort into it. But he was a Yahoo writer. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. But he's been working on this formula for a few years now based on the route trees that they run, and has had some pretty good success, not only calling guys that may have been, a little bit more under, like the Puka Nakuas, the guys who fly under the radar, but saying like, hey, I would hit one of his big time guys he advised to stay away from back a couple years back was Treylon Burks. He was like, this is not a guy I'm super high on. Obviously, him going first round of the Titans. I didn't mean to bring him up for you, David, but just one of those, like, a guy who's seen a lot of success in both his, successes and failures. So,
back to Treylon Burks, just real quick. Just back it up real quick. I would have had no issue had they just drafted Treylon Burks and stuck with A.J. Brown's like, all right, here, if you're going to be the future A.J. Brown, then, you can learn underneath A.J. Brown, but just to ship him off to the Philadelphia Eagles and then to see the consistency remain from A.J. Brown for the most part, and then to see what injuries played a big role in that. But yeah, it was one of those things that just kind of had you scratching your head as a Titans fan of like, well, what is it that we're doing, and why do we just continue to send the Philadelphia Eagles everyone that we kind of get to a good point?
Well, I think it's very rare when you can really pinpoint kind of a specific moment when a GM gets fired, and I think Ron Carthon is the GM of the Titans because of that one trade. Yeah. That right there was the moment where it's like, okay, we got to get out of here.
That's a good point.
I think Howie Roseman just knows how to Jedi mind trick Rand Carthon, man. Gets him on the phone. He's like, this is what you're taking for A.J. Brown.
Yeah, well, that was John Robinson at the point in time for the Tennessee Titans. So yeah,
that and Poles when he talks to the Steelers GM. I mean, he just gets.
What
the Steelers got Justin Fields and Joey Porter Jr. for Chase Claypool in a 6th round pick. It's not a bad haul there.
Yeah. What do y'all make of that, though? Justin Fields going to the Steelers. I think it was Greeny talking about it, or maybe he was talking about a tweet that he posted just saying how the Steelers made some of the cheapest, best quarterback moves in a matter of months, but a 6th round pick for Justin Fields, which could turn into a 4th round pick, provided he plays 51% of the snaps. But what do you make of that move, though?
Well, I think it's interesting because on one side, you clearly have good value, right? But the reason why you had such good value is because the rest of the league did not value Fields to that extent. And so we can look at it, and you can look at it with an optimistic lens, saying, hey, look, if they end up having 18th ranked quarterback play between those two, then hey, what they're getting for that money is a fantastic value. But the question then is, can 18th ranked quarterback play get you to where you want to be? And you have this interesting dynamic with the Steelers right now where, look, Mike Tomlin's been there for a long time. He never loses a season, but they're also not winning when it matters most. And so, like, is this exactly the sort of moves that can keep you average, that can, again, make it so that you're making that tail end of the playoffs. You have an interesting few quarters against the Bills right in that first round, but you don't finish home. That's the side of it. The other curious thing, though, I think if you look at the Justin Fields situation, is on the one side, we get Justin Fields for a 6th, possibly a 4th. On the other one, we're having a conversation about Jaden Daniels being a 2nd overall pick in this draft, where in many ways I think they're kind of similar prospects. And so this kind of leads to this larger conversation where people make a big deal every year. The NFL's learning, GMs are learning. We recognize why we did poorly here, why we what led to success here. I'm not entirely sure that GMs are always learning as much as they'd like to get credit for, because that's such a mismanagement in values there. In terms of, again, if that's the skill set that you want. Why wouldn't you take a fairly low risk? I get there's a contract dynamic to that, obviously, with 1 year left on a rookie deal.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of draft capital too to price in there as well. And so I think some of these dynamics, I'm interested to see it play out. Again, I think the Steelers are going to be a winning team this year. Is that enough to get them to where ultimately Steeler fans want to be and haven't been in quite some time? That I'm less sure about.
I think if GMs were really learning, they would have a veteran quarterback in place who's going to be there for at least 2 to 3 years. You follow the Packers model, essentially. It seems to work out pretty well. But even Patrick Mahomes, not put right there into the fire. Like these guys, C.J. Stroud had a great year. I mean, when was the last time that we really saw a rookie quarterback have that type of success that C.J. Stroud did? And, I mean, that was rookie coach, rookie quarterback, like just rookies all the way around. So very impressive. But I think that there needs to be that kind of a model of you have your guy in place and then you bring someone in underneath when you're ready to relinquish or that guy's getting ready to ride off into the sunset, that he learns behind him. Because who's to say if Patrick Mahomes starts as a rookie that he has the continued success that he's had, especially without sitting behind a guy like Alex Smith who was willing to teach him stuff as well.
No, there's so much to learn in that transition between, and maybe on the, we can talk about perhaps some of these potential landing spots for quarterbacks and some of the strengths and weaknesses that each of them have. But it's so big.
Well, with that, we're going to take a quick pause. Matthew Vale or Matthew Valley, not entirely sure how to pronounce your last name, but you are now on the clock. 850-215-6290. This is for the race to Talladega. The code word today was lap. Matthew Val or Valley, you are now on the clock. This is going to be your qualifying time, however long it takes you to call in. Don't forget to listen to the Coach Hale Show mornings at 7:15 and 8:15 in the morning for the code word of the day. When you hear it, text the code word and your racing name to 850-215-6290. Then you listen at 12:15 with the Inside Drive and 5:15 with the Afternoon Underdogs. If we announce your name, race to the phones and call 850-215-6290. Fastest qualifying time each week wins the race to Talladega. This will be running until April 12th. All right, we're back to the NFL draft here. So where were we at right there? Talking about quarterbacks and sitting behind people.
Yeah. Yep. No, go ahead. I mean, I think, real quick, I think we've seen the success with Patrick Mahomes, 30 years now with the Green Bay Packers. I think it's just that the future for coaches and GMs is so uncertain going forward that you're not guaranteed that 2-3 year waiting period. Very, very rarely do the coaches have the opportunity to do that. We saw in Cincinnati with Marvin Lewis. He was able to draft Carson Palmer, then turn around and draft Andy Dalton again. And, so he did have a little bit more flexibility. Of course, a lot of people say that the Bengals have been a poorly ran franchise for most of their existence, so maybe that's not the best place to look. But they've had a really good, last 15 years or so? Mm-hmm. I mean, they've been one of the more consistent winners, really, as far as making the playoffs. But, like you said, who was the last great quarterback that came in as a rookie? Was Andrew Luck and RG3 was probably the last two before C.J. Stroud as far as, that level of quarterback play.
Yeah. And when we look at teams, so often we talk about head coaches, we talk about GMs, we talk about the players, all of which are very important. But there's an aspect of it where ownership is so important. One of the reasons why, again, you look at the Green Bay model, Favre, Rodgers, now Jordan Love, it's a very unique situation where you don't have an owner, right? It's a corporation. There's different stakeholders there. You have a CEO. Their model is built on patience in many ways, where if you are the Atlanta Falcons, for example, and your owner is in his 80s and he's desperate to get that ring before he goes away, right? Or Jerry Jones situation, things like that, right? Those owners want that ring now because they don't know how many more shots of this apple they have, right? And that, whether right or wrong, that influence a lot of these decisions where you have that owner in the press box and they're 7 weeks in, they're watching Andy Dalton play. This is why they won't allow Andy Dalton play in Carolina until you have a situation good enough for Bryce Young to get out there. And then all of a sudden you start developing bad habits. It's what killed Derek Carr in Houston. We'll see what happens. It's very easy to screw up a quarterback as well. And that's one of the challenges when you look at quarterback evaluation is that, we can identify all things that do well. We can identify things they don't do well. But if the situation that they put themselves in, some quarterbacks are going to be able to sink or swim no matter what. Others, though, you can screw them up very early where they never have the career that their talent otherwise could have allowed them to have if they had the ability to develop and with players around them.
Yeah, you could have them seeing ghosts as Sam Darnold. That was Sam Darnold, right? That was what he was
Sam
doing.
Darnold. I mean, he got a $10 million contract for the Vikings this year, so they still see something in him. So
maybe they just go back and watch that Rose Bowl against Penn State all the time, or against USC all the time.
That might be constant on NFL Network replays.
Yeah, because that was one of the best games, one of the better games that wasn't in the college football playoff. I remember watching that and just being like, dude, this guy is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the league. He's got the prototype body that you want, and it just hasn't really worked out. But then again, I think if you get drafted by the New York Jets, that's your future.
And then even in his time in Carolina with Matt Rule, I'm a pretty big Matt Rule fan. I was a pretty big Joe Brady fan. I love the whole situation with him going there, and obviously it didn't work out for any of the three parties involved. Joe Brady's bounced back a little bit up there in Buffalo, and Matt Rule's over in Nebraska now. But even Sam Darnold, he got a new contract this year, so I guess it's worked for everybody leaving Carolina. But looking at the Jets in Carolina, that's not the two best places to succeed the last few years for sure. So it's gonna be interesting if he comes out and has like a Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield type resurgence. Would be kind of fun to see.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think the future holds for Bryce Young? Obviously, he's going to get the opportunity this year to be the QB1 for the Carolina Panthers, and I just think that if you don't fix that offensive line, he's already small as it is. So there's nothing going on in his favor, and he's not as mobile. He's mobile, but he's not as mobile as, say, a Kyler Murray, who sometimes you're sitting there watching him, you're like, he just pulled a miracle out of his hat, getting away from the defenders there. So do you think that the future is bright or mundane or dark for Bryce Young?
Well, it's difficult. I think the situation this year will be better. I mean, they're writing out $20 million contracts for guards, so hopefully that will pay off. They will have wide receivers that could beat you guys in a foot race. That'd be a nice improvement from what they had last year. But the scary thing for me is that going into last year's draft, right, the concern was about the height.
Yeah.
And watching him play this year, I know that he didn't have great talent around him, but he looked small. Like those issues came up when you watched him play. And so he's going to need an offense where you can get wide receivers and get separation pretty early, right? He's not going to be someone who's going to dance around the pocket and be able to avoid tacklers and make these big downfield throws. I'm very Dave Canellis, who was who resurrected Baker's career. I love everything I've seen from him. So maybe they can put together an offense around him that can take advantage of his strengths and minimize his weaknesses. But those weaknesses, this was an outlier player. This wasn't simply a short player. This was an outlier, freakishly small player. And again, if that could end up being something that just isn't something that he can overcome to be a viable long-term quarterback, and that is within the realm of possibilities, in spite of it just being 1 year.
Hey, that segment came full circle. We started off talking about weaknesses, and we ended with weaknesses. You guys are riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. We'll talk strengths and quarterbacks when we return. This is the Afternoon Underdogs. You're tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida. Call or text us 850-215-6290.
Mornings on ESPN Northwest Florida just got unsportsmanlike.
Why do I need to see each individually sliced piece of bacon? That doesn't make sense.
There has to be a reason for it, right?
Well, what's the reason?
I
if
don't
they
know.
sell it other ways, it doesn't make sense. Like, are you showing off every single slice of bacon?
Bacon is packaged this way to extend its shelf life and maintain freshness.
When I go to the store and get a pack of bacon, I ain't like, man, I need to save this bacon for next month.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle. Weekdays 5 to 7 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Tuesday. Lightly sprinkling tonight with a wind coming out of the north around 3 miles per hour and a low of 62. Tomorrow morning, look for light sprinkles with a temperature near 68. In the afternoon and evening, a high around 73 and lightly sprinkling. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Golf is a game that should be fun, but to have the most fun, you need to play your best. That's where the experts at Golf Plus come in. Their friendly staff will guide you through the buying process, answer all your questions, and can help with any repairs you need along the way. Golf Plus is your custom fitting, club repair, and golf retail shop. Golf Plus staff is non-commissioned and will work with you to find the best product for your game, just like they've been doing since 1988. Golf Plus in Dothan and Panama City Beach. Fitting, repair, retail. That's Golf Plus.
Your biggest investment is your home. Protect it while also improving its appearance with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. We have sand, mulch, gravel, or lay down decorative stone, all available for pickup and delivery. Discover your dream landscape with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Imagine the moment you proudly pull up to your home that you've worked so hard for, enhanced by quality mulch, decorative stones, and more. Let's make it happen today. Request a quote online at earthworkspc.com or swing by the office at 2005 Industrial Drive. Love the land you live on.
We don't sell the steak.
You can stir this all up.
We sell the sizzle. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
Very spicy.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
You are listening to the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida. Can you feel the magic? It's the Holland Hearts ESPN Northwest Florida Magic Express. Ride with us on the ultimate road trip. We're taking a busload of ESPN Northwest Florida listeners to see the Orlando Magic take on the Chicago Bulls. That's going to be Sunday, April 7th, and you're going to be watching that game from a presidential suite. That comes with food, drinks, and a free ride on the Magic Express. To enter, just open the ESPN Northwest Florida app, click Enter Contest. That is sponsored by Holland Hearts, PCB Hobby, and ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop, Tho Bishop, and Caveman Rick, and we are going to be talking a little quarterbacks here. But before we dive into the quarterbacks, we talked about the weaknesses of the draft. You brought up running backs, inside linebackers. Is there any more weaknesses that we need to expose, or do you want to dive into the strengths of the draft?
I think those are the two big glaring holes. I think the strengths become a lot more interesting after that.
All right, so let's look at the strengths of this draft class here in 2024. What are some of your strengths? And then, Tyler, if you have any other strengths to add on to this, I would like to hear those as well.
Yeah, I think we touched on the wide receivers. I think there's a lot of very interesting first two-round tackles out there. So, again, two of the most valuable positions out there, wide receiver, tackle. If you're a team in need, this is a good year to hit some of those.
And this is not, we talked about the whole running back situation last year with them not getting much love, and you even heard about it from some high school kids, like talking about wanting to switch their position to another position where they think that it will be more profiting for them in the future, profitable for them in the future. And I mean, you look at wide receivers, a position that there's a lot more of in the NFL as well. And why wouldn't kids want to make that switch from running back to wide receiver? And like for the most part, as far as durability goes, or as far as what you're asked to do on a play-by-play basis, it's a lot easier to run. And I don't mean this in it's an easier position to play, but like you're blocking cornerbacks compared to linebackers and defensive ends, and guys who are coming to take a quarterback's head off. You're running routes. Now you have to be really good. The separation from the best wide receiver to the number 2 wide receiver is a big deal of separation, but kind of same way with running back. So it makes sense to me that the high school kids would want to take that jump from being a running back to a wide receiver. You have something, Rick?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the running back position is going the way of like a boxer, where like the only people that are doing that are people that are coming from like unfortunate situations, because who wants to get punched in the face for a living, right?
I mean, so what was unfortunate about the way Jake Paul was raised?
So I mean, yeah, but he's not really fighting. He's not a real fighter, exhibitionist. But so I mean, like in that sense, maybe running backs are looking at it like, yeah, the shelf life's not long. You're not going to get paid well. It's a tough position to play. Like you said, the guys that you're going to be blocking, and you're going to be getting hit every single play. When instead you can, be a wide receiver, just be fast. And the only guys that may be doing it, maybe they don't have good hands. Maybe they can't be a wide receiver. Maybe they don't have the other skill set.
Great points.
Well, you just got guys who are built like running backs. They may be able to play like safety, they may be able to play linebacker, but some guys are built like wide receivers. Some guys can play both, but some guys are just built like a run. You know what I'm saying? Like you look at like a Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's not going to line up there in the slot and try to run a fade on you. Like that's just not what his body's built for.
It would be interesting to see him as a middle linebacker.
Oh, I'd love to see. Or a safety coming down. Strong safety coming down, laying the foot on somebody.
I guess as a running back or a linebacker, like you have that decision to make. But then again, the best football players are I'm not in this for what is in this for me. I'm in this for what's the coach, where do you want me to play?
Yeah.
Those are the guys. I think that the more that gets, I was going to say beat into their head, but that's not a great way to put it these days. It would have been fine to say 10 years ago or whatever, but these days, so yeah, the more that's kind of, taught to these kids in high school is like, don't worry about anything else other than what coach wants you to do. What coach wants you to do is going to be for the betterment of the team, and the better that you are at making the team better, the more money you're going to make in the long run. I mean, again, you go to a guy like Tom Brady, and I know people can say whatever they want to say about him, but like him taking the pay cuts that he did afforded, there's a reason why the man's going to be the highest paid broadcaster of all time, and he might not even be that good at it. We have no idea what his capabilities are as a broadcaster, but because he brought so much attention to the New England Patriots and then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and everything that he did, he made a boatload of money. So sometimes, doing what it is that you can do within a team environment will pay off in the long run as an individual.
Now, I was looking forward to seeing a line of NC34, Nick Chubb, professional fitness franchises like Tom.
That guy is just athletic freak. That guy just built different, man.
Dude, if him and Derrick Henry, NC34, DH22, man, like they put on a workout program, you'd probably have half the people pass it out before they even stepped into the gym at that point.
No, I want no part of that. There's no way I could fathom what they go through on a daily basis. It's just insane.
Yeah, I've thought about on my, on my rest days or whatever. I don't even want to go to the gym. I'll just watch Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb work out and feel like I've worked out at that point. Yeah, exactly. There you go. All right, so strength is wide receiver, and then you also talked a little bit about what'd you say? Tackle.
And obviously quarterback. I mean, it's been talked about up and down. Where people aren't really talking about guys like Michael Penix and Bo Nix. Those are guys that are in this draft that are 5 and 6-ish kind of, and nobody's really talking about them. But in any other year, they may be a top 3-4 type of guy. But
why are we talking more, or why are we hearing? Rather, because I don't think that we've done as far as the consistency on the inside. On the Afternoon Underdogs has talked a ton about quarterbacks and draft. We're kind of ramping that up starting now here with Doe and Tyler and the rest of the gang as well. But why are we hearing more about J.J. McCarthy than we are the guys who had? I mean, well, he was a national champion last year, but how often was he throwing the ball compared to a guy like Penix and compared to a guy like Bo Nix, who had a great run over there, or a decent run over there at Auburn, and then comes to Oregon and became a whole new man in that Pac-12?
Well, I think in some ways is that McCarthy's a fascinating prospect here because he was a guy that was not asked to do a whole lot. He was not asked to carry his team. But I think what teams are seeing in him, one is we can talk about the intangibles. The other side is part of it is the limitations that come with the evaluation of a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix. When you look at Bo Nix, he's someone that comes to mind is someone like an Andy Dalton, more athletic, and someone who is not going to be someone you're going to be asked to throwing 30 yards down the field a great deal. That's just not his game. Doesn't mean he can't be successful in this league, right? But someone who has a ceiling to his ability. Penix is very interesting because if this was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, he perhaps has the best long ball in the NFL, but the value that people have of not necessarily athletic ability in the terms of scrambling, something like that, but navigating the pocket, getting away from defenders within that pocket. Penix's strength is not, he's not a complete, he's got some sensitivity to pressure, and perhaps that is another issue where the ball doesn't always come out great when he's getting pressured. But what you're looking at from the quarterback in terms of some of that mobility aspect, Penix is not it's not a premium modern product because of some of the things that they're expecting from that mobility aspect. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if you told me, in 5, 6, 7 years that Penix has the second best career of these players. There's enough in his tape that I think that would not surprise me. I think there's going to be there's some good analysts out there that are big Penix fans. But again, all this comes back down to fit. And so my ideal situation for someone like a Penix would be the Miami Dolphins. Because the limitations that he has in his game are essentially the limitations that Tua has.
Yeah.
Right? Someone you have to build up a big offensive line. Someone who you have to navigate certain parts of the field to play into their strengths. Tua is better in the middle of the field. Penix is great on the outside and deep. But they're both very similar where if you can have them play within their comfort zone, and you have a good scheme around them, they can. Tua had led the league in passing yards, right? I think that sort of potential is there for someone like a Michael Penix, but it's going to require having your Mike McDaniel. It's going to require having a team that is willing to build those resources around you. But again, if you're the Dolphins, you're about to have to come up to a contract conversation about Tua. I would love if the Dolphins manage to get Michael Penix in the second round. That'd be fascinating to me because that gives you options to try to navigate. Because once you start having that big contract, then all of a sudden that money you can spend on that offensive line that you need. Having those two elite wide receivers to allow him to play within his strengths, that becomes a different calculation there. And so that's those are, I think, some of the factors that come in when you look at some of these second-tier guys. With McCarthy, though, I think people see the potential being higher. What's interesting, the comparison I like best for J.J. McCarthy is Brock Purdy, a more athletic Brock Purdy. And the question then is, how do you value a Brock Purdy? I mean, he's a Super Bowl quality quarterback. Now, part of that is because the team that were built, because of how cheap he is, so he's making less money than, I don't know if it's even minimum wage in California.
I think it's in California terms.
Being paid less than a long snapper. But, he's a guy that functions very well. I mean, he's a great sort of point guard within that offense. And I think there's going to be some teams that value that skill set, and you add on to that, everything he's supposed to be in the locker room. You've got Harbaugh out there, talking how great he is. Now it's always easy to do when you've already got Justin Herbert as your quarterback and he's off the table. So I think some of those reasons that people see J.J. McCarthy and they think that they can groom. He's also the youngest quarterback in this class. They think that his potential, ultimately, if they're able to develop right, is going to be much higher than, give him more flexibility, if you will, than what a Bo Nix or what a Penix will do. And I think that's why he's risen so much.
Well, then also you have him coming from Harbaugh. He's going to have that NFL. Harbaugh runs an NFL scheme, right? He's got so he can do what's required of guys in that kind of system, as opposed to a Bo Nix who may have run a more untraditional offense. Michael Penix may not have been quite an NFL. The term NFL offense or spread offense versus NFL may be a little bit outdated, but you do know Harbaugh's been in an NFL system. Yeah. So you know what to expect. It's a little bit easier evaluation because it's more one for one as opposed to trying to see how it will translate.
So who are you guys thinking? And Caleb Williams going 1 overall, right? Pretty much a done deal at this point without it actually happening. We're about a month away from the draft. But who would you have going 2 overall to the Washington Commanders?
We were kind of talking about this in one of the breaks with Max, and Dan Quinn seems like he'd be a Drake May type of guy, or a McCarthy type of guy, kind of a more traditional skill set. But then you add in the Cliff Kingsbury aspect to it and what he's been traditionally, and his time in Arizona with Kyler Murray. I understand the Daniels fit to there, and I think those are just a really interesting duo between the two, because a little bit more old school guy in Dan Quinn, a little bit more spread, run and gun with Cliff Kingsbury. And I honestly don't know. I any of the three going there wouldn't be a huge surprise. I think McCarthy would be the most surprising for me because I don't know why. I just am. But I honestly I can't tell you. I don't know right now. I don't have a good answer for you.
What about for you, though?
The trends out there have Jaden Daniels as the favorite. If you look at various lines and here's this for a hot take though. If Washington goes Jaden Daniels as the number 2 pick, then I think Dan Quinn is not going to live out his contract. For one, and part of this goes to the entire hiring Cliff Kingsbury. I think I don't understand that decision for any NFL team right now. This is a guy whose entire pedigree.
Unless their team was over there in Thailand, then that would have made more sense.
Well, it's interesting. So let's say one of the defenses that his team was very good against was Dan Quinn. Yeah, have this dynamics the Jaguars are big about this. You have a player that blows up. Gabe Davis blew up against the Jaguars. Yeah, one of the few 100-yard teams. And
so we're going to go get him.
And so I think there might be a dynamic there. What gave my defense problems? Well, Cliff Kingsbury did. The problem is Cliff Kingsbury's offense didn't give that many other people problems. Yeah, he puts your one wide receiver out there. He doesn't change around. There's not a lot of creativity, and so I'm still trying to figure out: is Washington post Snyder era? Are they a serious franchise? Or are they still a clown show franchise? You look at the way the NFL head coaching search went. Kind of looks kind of clownish.
Yeah,
and so if they are just simply saying, "Hey, look, Cliff, tell me who you like best." They've got a whole committee of people. I don't know even who's making the decision. They've got 3 GMs in there. You've got, it's a very weird organizational structure. If they go Jaden Daniels, Washington is going to be picking in the top 5 next year as well. Because again, organizationally, it makes no sense. And there's nothing against Jaden Daniels. I think there's situations where he could be successful. I think the process, though, by which they make that decision, I would be betting against the success of Jaden Daniels in that scenario if he ends up going number 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like the Falcons going out and getting Raheem Morris. Like, I didn't.
I love me some Raheem Morris. That's
well, I mean, just his success as a head coach has just been left some to be desired, right?
Well, I think the Raheem Morris thing is if you and this is a big thing. If you don't get that rookie quarterback thing right, I mean, Raheem Morris had 3 years in Tampa Bay. Josh Freeman was his quarterback throughout that entire process.
Fair.
One of those years was a 10-win season.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. If you do not hit, and again, this is your second time now within that position. I think that might be a reason why Atlanta didn't go the quarterback that rookie route.
Right.
Raheem Morris has played that game. He didn't like that game, right? And so I think that might. So now you have Dan Quinn. You know, he's going all in with the rookie quarterback. This decision where they could have gone. You know, you want to go the route that if you can, when you have the ability to get Justin Fields. And you could trade back that capital. You can say, okay, we want a mobile quarterback. We're going to let Cliff Kingsbury throw the ball around. We're going to take advantage of that athleticism. Why wouldn't you go the Justin Fields direction, trade back, get 3 first rounders from that, let someone else play that game? I don't understand that decision. Now, maybe the answer to this is that they don't really want Jaden Daniels. Maybe they want to go with Drake May. Maybe they want to go with a J.J. McCarthy. Then you have the question is, can Cliff Kingsbury develop an NFL quarterback? And Kyler Murray, I think is maybe at this point is kind of underrated. I think he's valuable. I think he's got some good skills, but I don't know if he's developed.
Yeah.
He's a great athlete. I don't know if he's developed a great deal as a quarterback.
I mean, he's gotten a lot better at Call of Duty.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, he's putting in the time. But when Kingsbury left Arizona, there was a lot of questions about how much had Kyler Murray really developed within that system. And so Drake May, who I think is a very interesting prospect, is Cliff Kingsbury the offensive mind that's going to get the most out of Drake May? I'm not sure. I haven't seen it, so we'll see.
Yeah, there you go, man. There you go. Who do y'all think will be the second best quarterback in this? Actually, let's rank, like, who do you think has the best rookie seasons, top 5 rookie seasons? Not right now. I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to think about this. This is the Afternoon Underdogs. You're tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida. Give us a call or text, 850-215-6290. Top 5 rookie seasons for the NFL quarterbacks, the rookie quarterbacks. We'll be right back after this.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents
Wrestling Against Cancer, number 9.
Saturday, April 27th at Bayhaven Charter Academy. In the main event, it's a tag team showdown with Exodus versus Mike Steele and Mr. 850. Plus exciting women's wrestling. Tickets still just $12. Ages 6 to 17, only $8. 5 and under, free.
More information, ESPNPC.com.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Tuesday. Lightly sprinkling tonight with a wind coming out of the north around 3 miles per hour and a low of 62. Tomorrow morning, look for light sprinkles with a temperature near 68. In the afternoon and evening, a high around 73 and lightly sprinkling. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hi folks, it's Tracy with Tracy's Fine Jewelry and Coin and Bullion Reserves. Did you know that we do more than just sell some of the finest jewelry in town? We can engrave on your wedding band, locket, Yeti cup, or almost anything. Need your watch battery changed? We can do that too. Our expert will even evaluate your coin collection. And of course, we always pay top dollar for your old gold and silver jewelry. See, there's a lot more to Tracy's Fine Jewelry than a lot of pretty sparkly things. Come and see us today at Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
Krispy Kreme Donuts hatches 4 new mini donuts for spring. Try the mini robin's egg, or how about the mini hatching chick, or the mini strawberry egg. Last, by no means least, is the mini Cadbury bird's nest. All 4 are new this spring in the mini donut spring selection, only at Krispy Kreme Donuts, next to HCA Hospital, 23rd Street in Panama City, and on the Ross Clark Circle in Dothan since 1937. Krispy Kreme Donuts, where you get them hot.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Call in with your questions, hot takes, and rants at 850-215-6290.
I'm sure that most of you have used a dial telephone before.
The Sports Talk Monster.
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
You guys are back in the doghouse riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes along with Tyler Bishop, Tho Bishop, Caveman Rick, ESPN Northwest Florida presenting Wrestling Against Cancer 9. That is going to be April 27th, so right after April 26th, the first round of the NFL Draft over there at St. Patty's. Y'all can come hang out with Tho, Tyler. I'm going to be there as well. Tickets are $12 for Wrestling Against Cancer 9. Kids 6 through 17 get in for $8. 5 and under get in free with a paid adult. Doors are going to open at 5:30. Bell time at 6:30. All of the proceeds go to help out Jaden with his medical expenses. He is in remission, but the bills don't stop. Wrestling Against Cancer 9, April 27th at the Bay Haven Charter Academy. Y'all be there. Let's pack the place out. I think there's 500 seats there in the bleachers, and there'll be some ringside seats and all of that good stuff. But let's get it to where there's standing room only. Even Jack said yesterday, man, that rain just making me want to fall asleep right now. Jack said yesterday that he might even cut some of the costs there if it does end up getting to standing room only. Before we get into these guys' top 5 quarterbacks and how their rookie seasons will go, the number 5 seed Lady Commodores on their way to Casper, Wyoming for the 2024 NJCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship. You can join Gulf Coast Athletics at Beef O'Brady's in Lynn Haven as we cheer on the ladies during their first game. That'll be March 28th at 3:15 versus the winner of the 12 seed Southern Idaho and the 21 seed Connors State game. If you're unable to attend the NJCAA watch party, you can catch the games on ESPN Plus. All right, let's dive into it. Top 5 quarterbacks. We'll start at 5, and we will work our way up to number 1 here. So Tyler, let's start with you. Who do you think has the 5th best season by a rookie quarterback in 2024? Would it be easier to start at 1 and then kind of work your way down?
Probably a little bit, just because, I mean, part of it, you start getting like 4 and 5, it's going to be, I mean,
right,
who ends up being the 5th quarterback? You know, who do you want to throw out there?
If we had already had our numbers, like,
or if the draft had already taken place, it'd be a little bit easier, like, knowing the situations. Now it's going to be kind of like project, because I mean, I think there's a good chance whoever the 5th quarterback is doesn't play a significant amount.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if it's a Bo Nix, if it's a Michael Penix, if it's a Spencer Rattler, you know, if they end up as the backup and they play for 2 or 3 games in the season, like, they may have a decent little 3-game stretch, but are they really going to be significant this year? That's the hard part with that 5th quarterback.
So 4 and 5 almost are like wild card spots here. All of these are wild card spots because we don't know where they're going to be, and that affects so much.
Well, we'll have 4 first-round guys. So I think those guys will be pretty easy. You know, kind of rank them to some extent as much as we can without knowing where they're going in the order there. But yeah, I think the 5th one may be the easiest. Just leave the 5th off, because I think the 5th you start getting a projection versus who's going to be a backup in a certain system or wherever.
All right, well, let's start with number 1 then. We'll start with number 1. Who's going to be the best quarterback of the rookie class 2024?
It's going to be a boring answer, I feel like, but I'm going to go with Caleb Williams. I'm not even the biggest Caleb Williams guy. I think he's a very Kyler Murray-ish caliber quarterback, I think, is what we end up looking back at, which isn't necessarily a bad quarterback, but is he a generational guy like a lot of people make him out to be? I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, he's going to have some weapons. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen coming over as well. Yeah. DeAndre Swift. They've
done so much for a guy that they haven't even had, and they didn't do any of this for. I mean, they did get DJ Moore over there for him, but yeah.
You got Darnell Wright as a right tackle they drafted last year. They've got another pick in the top 10. They could either go another offensive tackle that we talked about being a strong draft. They could draft another wide receiver. They could draft a Brock Bowers. They could still add to that offense with 2 top 10 picks or another one outside of Caleb Williams. So I think he'll be set up, and obviously he's a guy that's going to have immediate play time, right? They gave away Justin Fields. They're not going to start Badgett. You know, it's going to be Caleb Williams or bust, and he's going to have the opportunity. So, I mean, statistically, he's probably going to end up having the best season.
All right, there you go. Will he get 4,000 yards?
Bears history says no. But, I mean, they may be losing in a lot of games, so it may be one of those where he gets 400 yards just out of necessity in garbage time. So
air it out, yeah. Though,
you know, I think Caleb Williams is definitely the safe answer, because he's the one that I feel certain is going to start week 1. I think your Kyler Murray comparison is pretty appropriate. You know, this is a guy who, you know, you think Caleb Williams, you think playmaker. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that has an incredible arm, can make throws that most quarterbacks can't. Someone who can avoid in the pocket, has got good mobility. The question with Caleb Williams is this. If he doesn't sabotage himself, and I'm not speaking purely off the field stuff, which we can never predict, the question is how will he take to an NFL style offense and play within structure?
Yeah,
because one of his problems with USC, and it often was bailed out because of incredible athleticism, is that a play will be designed for 5-yard gain. And instead, he ignores the 5-yard gain and goes to a 65-yard pass.
Yeah.
Now, in college, he's been able to get the right way with that. And you had some incredible throws that came off of that. In the NFL, those plays get a little harder.
Yeah.
And so, can he take? Can he get rid of the superhero cape every single play?
Yeah.
Right? You save that cape for fourth quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is something that you've seen this development Patrick Mahomes game as well. And so, I think he's going to be a week 1 starter. I expect him to be, that'd be my offensive rookie of the year, early candidate there. But whether or not we go into next season thinking that, man, that is going to be the best quarterback from the cycle, I think there's a few options to give. Maybe they don't get play time until the end, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if some of these other quarterbacks end up having a better career in the long run, even though I think Bears fans would be perfectly happy with what Caleb Williams should be so long as he adopts the coaching and develops in the NFL.
All right. K-Man Rick, you want in on this? All right. I'll be different than you guys. I think Caleb Williams is a talented quarterback. However, I think to be a talented quarterback, it's much more than just what you can do on the field, and it has to do with how you lead men. And maybe you're not going to be expected to do that as a first-year rookie, but I think that Jaden Daniels might be a better leader in the long term than what Caleb Williams is, and I think they're both going to be if it works out how we were talking earlier, which could be Drake May up there, absolutely right. I don't think I'm a huge. It's funny because for the last 3 years we've said, wait on the next quarterback draft class, wait on the next draft class, wait on the next one, and here we are, and I'm finally feeling like, I don't see very much from this draft class. It's deep, but Caleb Williams, a lot of hype. How do you live up to that hype, though? And then with some of the antics that we've seen from him, how does that go over in an NFL locker room? Because at that point, like I was saying, you got to lead men, and there's ways you can go about leading men, and there's other ways where you're going to end up being led out of the locker room.
And it's a valid question, and if we're looking for a similar situation, very different in terms of the specifics. But I remember when Marcus Mariota came out. And this was not a guy who controlled the huddle. Now, I think Caleb Williams does. But personality-wise, he never really hit. And I'm not going to say that alone is why he's had the career that he's had. But there is something to be said that, if some of the extra things that come with Caleb Williams personality-wise, if that doesn't play well in the locker room that already, say what you will about his play, the locker room loved Justin Fields in Chicago. Right? Mm-hmm. You have players out there actively advocating for not trading him. So it'd be very interesting to see how that personality, that LA lifestyle, ends up playing within a locker room like Chicago, which is built on defense and has a lot of kind of that lunch pail sort of personalities. It is an open question there when it comes to how Caleb Williams will adapt.
And if it doesn't work out for him at quarterback, maybe there's another place in the organization that he can try out for at that point in time. So I'll go with Jaden Daniels there at number 1, even though, Caleb Williams is going to have the best opportunity, right? Like, which offense would you, as wild as this is to say, which offense would you rather be plugged into right now, the Bears or the Commanders? The Commanders do have Eckler over there.
They got Eckler. They got Terry McLaurin. They got Jaheim Dotson. They've got some guys out there. Brian Robinson behind him too.
Yeah. And an interesting comparison to Jaden Daniels would be Robert Griffin III.
Yeah.
I think they run very similar. He's not quite like Lamar Jackson when it comes to the horizontal game. Now the problem is that and Jaden Daniels is a big play in a can, right? He loves throwing it long. He loves running. Of course, the problem we had with RG3 was self-preservation. Mm-hmm. And I think the first NIL deal that Jaden Daniels had was with personal injury attorneys. So throwing him bad and we watched him play for LSU. It's like, man, that's the guy.
He seemed to take one huge shot a game. It's like he had to get it out of his system, or like he had a quota to hit. I don't know if that's part of his NIL deal, but it was against Texas A&M. It was against Florida State. It was against Bama. It was against almost every game. The guy just did. That's what Russell Wilson has done so well for so long. Jaden Daniels doesn't seem to have that. Somebody needs to get him some baseball training or something because he lacks that sliding ability, I think. But
Oh, let's go with number two. Number 2 on the list. And again, we'll revisit this after the draft and be able to give some better answers at that point in time, as rosters will be a little bit closer to being fully formulated at that point in time, even though there's always some deals that go down right up until the season starts and the trade deadline. You get an extra week. How do we feel about that? The trade deadline getting pushed back to week 9. I think that's I like that a lot. Honestly, I would even be with moving it to week 10 because, all right, we've added an extra game, so week 8 is actually before the halfway point of the season. So I would even be fine with week 10 because you know that there's other teams who are out of the running at week 10. They really don't have a mathematical chance at that point, and they've got guys that they would like to get off of their salary cap at that point in time, and there's other teams who are making that run. So I really like the trade deadline being moved back to week 9. Do y'all have any...
I've got no issue. I mean, as long as it not being the end of the year, the last 3 weeks, I'd have no problem with it going back even a little bit further. But, it's one of those things that most fans won't even notice has been changed either. So
yeah,
I agree. I'm a fan.
Right there. All right, number two. Who you got? We'll start with you, Tyler.
This is more me fading the other two guys than me being like, go hung on this guy. But I think J.J. McCarthy ends up having the second. I'm afraid Daniels gets hurt sometime during his rookie year, and I'm just not a big Drake May guy, so I'm going kind of J.J. McCarthy by default here.
I like that.
And he's a guy that I think will play safe football. Maybe won't do enough to lose the job if he does end up starting week 1 or even week 3. Just steady enough to keep the job. And like I said, I'm just not sold on Drake May. And I think kind of what we were just talking about with Jay Daniels, guy takes one too many big shots and may end up not playing a few games.
I think me putting Jaden Daniels up there at number 1 is because I was throwing a little shade there at Caleb Williams because maybe he's not as polished as his
nails.
All right, though, who do you got number 2?
So I'm going to buy the Drake May stock that Tyler's selling over here. But again, a lot of this, I think that the quarterback that is most position or most team sensitive is Drake May. If Drake May goes to Washington, I'll probably reevaluate this. The way that I'm kind of expecting the draft to play out at this point, Williams 1, Daniels 2, and then the question comes at that third position. If the Patriots pick him, bad situation right now, we'll see what goes on in the future. I would not like that. But the Minnesota Vikings, which I think are prepared to spend 3 first-round picks moving up, if they jump up and are able to get Drake May number 3, that is a team that you put Drake May in that system, that's someone I'm buying long-term. I think if that is the fit, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Drake May is the best quarterback in this draft class. If he ends up being one of the top 5-6 quarterbacks in the entire NFL, and the quarterback that I think has the best potential of being one of those elite guys, not just a good quarterback, but a great quarterback, I think it's Drake May. Took a step back last year at UNC. Some of that is scheme, some of that was talent. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of similar to some of the concerns we had with Sam Howell coming out of UNC. Wide receivers leaving, had to make it up in that third year. And the downside, look at the stats. No quarterback had more third and longs, third and 7+ last year than Drake May. That's a quarterback problem as well as anything else. His touchdown to interception ratio in the second half of games not very good. Again, someone who was playing too much hero ball. You put him in Minnesota, allow him to sit behind Sam Darnold. If he gets that sort of development, then he's the guy that has the ceiling of a Herbert, within that class of, a Josh Allen, the like. He's the one that has that potential, but it's a question of development. And if he's rushed out there too quick early, if he gets some of those bad habits that we talked about earlier, then he will not come close to sniffing that potential. But if you put him in Minnesota, I'm taking him. And that's why, end of the season, last 4 or 5 games, we might be going into the next season talking about how great of a rookie season that Caleb Williams have, but being more excited about what Drake May has shown as a quarterback.
Ooh, that's something to look forward to, no doubt. I'm not even going to put a number 2 there. We're just going to stick with. I'll put Caleb Williams. That makes it an easy answer, right? Too, there. Caleb Williams there for number 2. We'll revisit this after the draft. Though Tyler, as always, thank you guys for coming in with us and talking on the NFL draft. Getting excited, man. Only a month until the NFL draft. We'll have you with us on a few more Tuesdays leading up to that draft as well. Well, guys, it's been a great afternoon. Obviously, it's raining, so be safe out there on the roads. Coach James Hale Show is going to be live at 7 in the morning. Make sure you're tuned into that for the race to Talladega. Then the Inside Drive back at 11 in the morning. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Y'all have a great day. Just remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida presents the madness of college basketball. 68 teams, 32 conference.